everybody, what's up? I'm Sarah the Ramble. This is Women Wrestling Friends Podcast. It is a podcast where I talk to ladies about wrestling. I know you think we don't exist, so I had to make this podcast to prove it to you. I have a very special guest today. Now that's Sandra. Right, I used to hate that little ponytail.
No. I would rock it all the time, and I would like whip it back and forth, and it's just like, Sandra, calm down. I'm like, okay.
Fine. I just want to get my Jericho on, man.
Yeah, and when he beat The Rock, and what was the one match that he had where he actually won as a heel? I think it was with The Rock, and everybody was so pissed.
Right.
Everybody was so mad, and I never grew up watching any pay-per-views or Raw because we didn't have cable. Yep. So my next door neighbor had it, and we had like a little mini party. And when Jericho won, everybody was mad, pissed, and everything. And I was
Except
just like,
you were just over there like the person in the wrong jersey at the party, like eating the chips.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, good.
Yeah, and for me, like, Jericho was my main one. But I also love the, like, oddball ones. So, like, the Hurricane was always one guy that I really liked.
That is very odd.
Perry Saturn was, like, another guy with a moppy. And, oh, my God. It was... For me, wrestling has always been more of, like, an entertainment type of thing than, like, two guys beating each other up.
Right.
So I always grew up, and I know I went through a period, because my sister's the oldest one. And she would be the mean one, basically, that would tell me, like, wrestling's fake, you know, and I'm like, oh, no, it's not.
Don't say that.
Yeah, so it's like I got to the point where I started to think, okay, so what if it's fake? You know, they're still getting hurt, you know, blade jobs back then, but they're still busting their asses, doing a good work, being entertaining.
Right.
And that's all that mattered for me.
I used to, when I was younger, and people be like, oh, wrestling, blah, blah, blah. I was like, this is like the best soap opera ever. Yeah. It's got all the drama, the romance, the passion, and then people get into fights. Like, what more could you ask for?
Exactly.
So to me, it never mattered if it was fake or not. But it's so funny that you love Jericho, because I distinctly remember when he first arrived. Yeah. And I was like, did I miss something? Because I didn't then understand that, like, there were different organizations and people were coming between. So Jericho arrives, and I'm like, how come everyone's so excited for this guy? Yeah. How come everyone knows him? And so for anyone younger than me, and I'm like 29, the year 2000 was a big deal. It was called Y2K, right? Yeah, that's
Y2J.
why but he's Y2J. Yeah. Yeah, so 2000 was called Y2K, I think. And everyone was panicked that all the internet was going to go down, if I remember correctly.
The AOL dial-up is going to be going down.
I think they were like, oh, we don't have...
Computers were going down.
Right, computers weren't going to have the year, right? So everything was going to shut down. This was the fear. So there was a like kind of a big cultural significance around him being Y2J and having the countdown clock and having all the numbers. It's very new millennium. And he came out with his little ponytail, and I was like, fuck this guy. I don't like this guy at all. But I loved his moves.
Oh,
so despite hating him, yeah,
the Walls of Jericho, and then when he became the older Jericho, his moves got almost like Grumpy Dad style. So like the line salt is kind of like half-assed, but it's still there. Right. The Walls of Jericho, he just looks like he could just bear. Yeah, like he's just like old dirty bastard like Jericho now, and I love it. Like I don't care if people call him fat now and all this stuff. I'm like, he's just a dad.
That's what I keep saying. So I actually love Jericho now, and I'm like, he's dad. I hate his dad butt. I wish he would put some tights on. But other than that, I just get such a kick out of watching him just dad around the ring. Yeah. Everything looks so like. So, I don't want to say perfect, because it doesn't look perfect, but it looks so effortless almost in a way.
Like, he's been through the industry so much, in and out, you know? So he knows, like, all these new like, fresh people, and he basically puts them, like, under their wing, like as much as, I could just, I know.
Eagle's wings. Bear you on the breath. Thank you for knowing that hand motions go with that. Okay, sorry.
My hands. Just keep doing it. No.
So who do you say so?
But I've always noticed that ever since Jericho just became kind of like the dad of the whole WWE. Ever since we lost The Undertaker, I have noticed that there was kind of like, I almost call it like daddy issues of wrestling.
The daddy issues of wrestling. I want to make that podcast now.
Yeah, where it's like there wasn't that authority to kind of lead the whole group. Because since The Undertaker kind of, you know, I'm old and I'm just gonna go away. You know,
direct quote. That's what he said.
Old and I'm just gonna go away. So it's like there was that one period of time where it was just nobody was there to lead. Nobody was there to be the dad of the group. You know, as much as we love Vince, he's just the
evil grandpa or evil
stepdad.
uncle. Yeah,
he's just in and out of your life, you
right?
know? So it's just one of those things. And Triple H is like gone. He's doing.
He was NXT. A great dad at NXT. Yeah, but yeah,
like he has his own set of children.
Yeah, he's got his own family.
It's children of nature over there in NXT. So it's just one of those things where the main roster was just missing something. And then when Jericho came back, that's like around the time I got back into wrestling is when he started up. And I almost saw it like night and day, where I saw one episode of Raw and it was without Jericho and everybody was kind of talking about him showing up.
Right.
And I could tell it was just kind of like, it was just sad looking, with just the roster just looking kind of gloomy and everything. And then that next week when he finally showed up and everything, oh my God, like everybody was super happy and like you could just see life in everybody's eyes because it's like, Daddy's here! Other daddy!
Other daddy! Real dad! Dad who takes me to the zoo! You know that dad. I don't know that dad.
Yes.
So out of the many wrestling shows, there's Raw, there's SmackDown, there's NXT, there's 205 Live, there's all their little actual shows, which are kind of weird. Do you have a favorite like WWE show that you like to watch?
Well, right now being that SmackDown and Raw are so boring, basically. And so when the whole kind of shakeup happened, everything just needs to kind of die down and be settle and then start out with other stories.
Right. Right
now, there's some pretty interesting stories going on. It's just kind of all being piled in.
Right.
And especially with Raw being that now it's kind of like the SmackDown.
Yeah.
With an extra hour, which is terrible. And now SmackDown has all these amazing, you know, kind of dream matches that could be added out.
Absolutely.
And with anything with AJ Styles, of course, it's just always going to be...
Almost all of my dream matches are AJ Styles versus AJ Styles versus...
Yes, exactly. But for me, like, I'm more intrigued about having something with The Miz beating Dean, which is like, I know we've seen it a million times, but Dean was just one of those guys that shouldn't really have the title. I kind of wish The Miz kept the title much longer, because since he is a heel, and right now Raw has so many faces, nobody can get it off of Dean. Right. So it has to be The Miz. So of course it's like when they have the triple threat and all that stuff, he's gonna win it. He should win it at what's the next one?
I don't remember. Is it the one with the E? There's too many damn pay-per-views. It's
because the next one is a SmackDown brand.
Yeah, the next one's SmackDown.
Is it Great Balls of Fire?
Great Balls of Fire.
Is it?
I think it is.
Terrible. It sounds like a bar, like
so
like a dirty bar.
I was on another podcast and they kept making Great Balls of Fire jokes, and I hadn't heard that they had named the pay-per-view that, and I was like, why do these losers keep joking about Great Balls of Fire? And then I saw it, I was like, oh.
It just sounds like a really run-down bar.
Well, my other co-host, who's normally here, kept calling Payback Retribution, and I was like, it's such a better name.
It's like a Retribution. Really, like a 2005 video game.
Yes.
Or it's like your character is
WWE
just hitting the
Retribution.
wall. Yeah, it's not good. But of course it's like we have to deal first with having to get the Miz to get the belt.
Yes.
And then it's when you can introduce Finn Balor, Seth Rollins. You know, for me, I would like to see, which is really weird, is Miz and Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Because they're completely two separate fighters that have different styles, one being a demon,
right,
and the other one being the movie star. It's just, I feel like it would be weird, but also good at the same time. Almost kind of like yin and yangs.
Right.
Why?
I could see it.
And I could see him, Miz, beating him. I know it's Finn Balor. Yeah,
I think poor Finn Balor. I think from having an injury, then coming back and immediately getting a concussion, I just think the poor guy. Like a lot of people are still all about him, but I've really felt like a drawing back from him.
Yeah.
And I hope it doesn't last very long. But I'm actually really excited to see him and Bray Wyatt because I'm stupid and I keep wanting to believe that the WWE will let Bray Wyatt use magic. And like an abused child who keeps no, they love me. I'm gonna just keep holding out. Because could you imagine like crazy cult leader magical man versus demon? It would be amazing. But they won't give it to me properly, I already know.
No, and like he doesn't have the family anymore.
Yeah, it's all so weird. So we have two guys. We have one guy who's supposed to have a Wyatt family and one guy who's supposed to have a Balor club. And neither of them have those two things. We're just pretending they exist.
Yeah, and it would actually be pretty interesting if, like, Balor had the club with him and then Bray having the family.
Yeah.
Because then you have 3-on-3, and it would work pretty good. And it's like you could have those DQ finishes where others come in and mess with them and all that stuff, and then you could have, going to the compound, which the compound is like completely destroyed by now.
Right,
but it could still be like
a rise again in the woods.
It's a shack.
Right. So. The best use of that was really the New Day one, the New Day video.
Oh yeah, if that whole split didn't happen, I think we would have saw something interesting that would have just led to Bray losing like always, but we would have had something.
Yeah, I agree. It was going really well. And somebody pointed out, like, oh, well, why is this Randy Orton thing not working? And he pointed out that when Xavier Woods was fighting Bray, he kept showing fear.
Yes.
And you could see on his face that he was perturbed. And that's what Randy was never afraid, worried, concerned, mildly annoyed.
He had viper eyes, though, the little glowing eyes.
Sorry, that was my Randy Orton face. The only kick I get out of Randy Orton is from the neck down. Anyway, so you're looking forward to a Miz and a Finn one. Interesting. That's the first time I've heard that one. Yeah, I think the Miz is incredible at being a heel. I think he'll be our future Jericho.
Yes, and no at the same time. Because you know how they say you could be a heel so much and then you become a face and then you just become like the greatest face of all time? I feel like The Miz doesn't want that.
No, I don't think
because he's been through that face stage and it was just such a bad experience for him that he just doesn't want it. He doesn't want that. Mm-hmm. So there's gonna be a point of time where it's like everybody wants to root for him, but he's gonna pull it back. He's going to be the one that's saying, no, it's not my time and I don't want to be a face. And probably doesn't want to ever be a face.
It's just interesting, the whole face and heel dynamic of, like, we love heels. Mm-hmm. We love hating these people. But we're not supposed to, because if we love them too much, then they have to turn into faces because we're cheering them. And it's almost weird, like, I'm not a business person working for WWE, so I don't know how much it affects them other than I do know that heels sell less shirts. However, I've seen heel shirts, and they tend to be fucking ugly, so chicken or egg, whatever, we can go over that some other time. But I do wonder, like, would it really hurt them to let us cheer a heel and just fucking love a heel? Like, do they always have to change heels into faces?
Well, the thing is, too, is, like, if you kind of look at the more like Japan style ones, faces are fighting faces, heels are fighting heels. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, no one cares. We just want to see that good match.
Yeah, and it's just the booking is what makes it the whole kind of story, and also having to not have that kind of line between, oh, okay, you're gonna be a face, you're gonna be a heel. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be more of what the wrestler does as a person to kind of lead the group of fans to say, okay, I'm behind that guy.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, because Sasha, I really wish Sasha could just be allowed to be a heel, but they're not going to turn her because of the merch sales. So it's like a catch-22 of we're getting a lesser version of her character. And they're still doing some interesting things with her, I think, as long as they don't mess up this time around with the Bayley thing. Because her and Charlotte, as much as there was a part of me that hated that we were watching the same match over and over again, I also loved almost every single one of those matches, except one that was incredibly botchy. But, like, all the rest of them were just amazing matches to watch. So, and you could have had, to me, Sasha being a heel fighting a bigger heel Charlotte, and I still would have been completely on board with the match. So,
yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I know a lot of people say that Raw and SmackDown actually has a pretty good set of women right now.
Finally.
But, yeah, thank God. But I still think NXT right now is like home run.
Right, so we didn't talk about, so are you watching NXT and 205 Live more than SmackDown and Raw?
I am, mainly because of Aleister Black. And like for me, As much as it's Killian Dame, he's Big Dame on my heart. I'm a Haas fan. I love my Haas's. Right. So like, War Machine and Big Damo, like they're here. They're in my
heart. Haas in the heart.
Yeah.
So who are some of your faves?
For NXT right now, it's got to be Aleister Black.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, when I become an old man, I want to be Aleister Black.
I want to be you.
Just the way that I don't like much of his entrance. The whole like I'm a vampire, it's weird to me.
So it's so funny because Tamara, the person I normally have on here, was like, Sarah, have you seen this guy? He's a vampire, and I'm all about it.
Like I don't care for it because it looks good on NXT, but I can't imagine it when he's like in SmackDown and Raw just being like, hi. Like it'd just be weird, but I would love to just see him come out and just be like, I'm here, like I'm basically here to beat up anybody that I see. And he just, the way he looks, the way that he just stares at people, and he has not cut a promo, if you ever think about it. He's never spoken the whole, I don't think he hasn't. Just by the way that like he just looks at his opponent and just in general, like his little packages that they were doing.
Right.
You
get a sense for him. No matter. That's what they say in the wrestling industry. They're like, people should be able to tell within 30 seconds who you are.
Yeah.
And so it's always great when someone can actually do that. So do you have any other favorite? You mentioned the women. So who are some of your fave ladies?
Right now is Nikki Cross.
Okay.
Because I love her kind of quirkiness, where
she's hella quirky, but
her details to everything is so amazing. Because like when we talk about the number one, what was it, the Rumble that they had, little Rumble, like the little things about her that I don't know if we should.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so like Asuka ended up beating up everybody,
right? Which I didn't love. But,
yeah, I didn't really care for it. Really, it just made her look a little weak about the whole situation.
Right.
But the whole entire time I was looking at Nikki, and when she kind of woke up after getting beat up, she's just like, Asuka. She's just trying to look for her. She has those killing, like, I want to kill her, like, eyes. And I love it. And then the best part is when she has this fixation with the rope where she just reminds me of a dog with a chew toy, and you're just like, stop it, just stop it. But she went to the ropes and she looked at Amber Moon and she started laughing at her because Amber Moon went through the ropes into the barricade, which it looked painful, and I don't know if she's injured right now with her.
Yeah, I think I read something, but I'm not sure if it's like real injury or not.
Yeah, so like. But the one thing that I saw was when she wanted to grab the ropes and she looked like she was about to chew on them, she looked at Amber and she started laughing at her. And she's just like, ha ha ha. And it just made me laugh. Like, it threw me in that moment where it's just like, that's how crazy she is. Right. Because at a moment, she wants to kill Asuka, and then all of a sudden she sees Amber Moon in the ground, not moving, and it's funny to her.
Right, she's telling a story the whole time.
Yes.
She's in there. Yeah.
And like the others, like as much as I like Ruby Riott, she was just in the corner, like it just kind of like something, like a Mack truck hit her. Like, she was just in the corner shivering. And to me, she's the one girl that should be the Aleister Black. Where it's like, because of the way she looks. I love her look. I love the kind of like cut little jean look that she has. Her haircut, and she, to me, feels that she should be the fearless one.
Right.
With no fear whatsoever. And when I saw her in that corner, almost to the point where she looked like she was crying, it killed my moment for her.
Yeah, it was, to me, very frustrating because if you wanted to have all 4 women, fight, there were other ways to do it where they still all got to look strong.
Yeah.
But instead, having this completely undefeated woman come in and just destroy everybody at the end and not have a winner of a Rumble was just kind of weird storytelling to me.
It was, and it was a hot mess.
Yeah.
Which we can't complain. Any Rumble is a hot mess.
Yes.
But having a handful of unknown women involved with it, and we could talk about the elephant in the room, Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
I hate it that they just called her Candice. They're like, oh, and there's Candice. And it's just like,
Candice.
Excuse me, what? Like, you guys have a superstar here, like, right. And you guys decided to just shove her in this. Like, she was above that.
Yeah.
She shouldn't even been there to begin with.
Right.
Because it threw off a lot of and I've noticed that the crowd was thrown off by it. Mm-hmm. And when she got eliminated, the crowd was just like dead after.
Right.
Because it's basically, and I don't even know if you could even put her with Charlotte, because it's like I feel like they're both, just because she hasn't been through the WWE, right. But I feel that would be first of all, that would be a dream match.
Right.
Candice and Charlotte.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope.
Dude in like a street fight with some jeans and a tank top. I want blood. Yes. Like Ric Flair blood.
Yes. Yes.
And that would be amazing. But I just feel like she shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. Or at least it should have been a build up to her being there.
Yeah.
Because that's what I feel sometimes is they'll have something kind of cool, but they didn't build it up. We'll talk about something that's a little less cool as an example, but The Undertaker versus Roman Reigns was never built up as a retirement match. And I know why they did it. It's because they wanted to leave out the idea that maybe Undertaker would win or something like that. But it, in the end, stunted everything that happened, besides just the fact that everyone hates Roman Reigns, is we didn't know this was what it was, so there was no, build-up for it. So I kind of hate when the WWE tries to be slick and sneaky and swerve us, and instead just, stunts shit. Because they're like, oh, yes, I am surprised and a little shocked, and so I have no reaction.
Well, the thing is, with me, it's like, I didn't really care about the story, and I didn't even care if we had 6 months or 1 day to know about the match between them. To me, it would have been more better if that's the thing. It's just that whole match is just a hot mess all the way around. Mm-hmm. I know we wanted Roman to have that streak because then when he goes after Brock, then he could be like, well, we're the same because I beat him too, heart, Right. It's just one of those things where I know there could have been a lot more people that were more worthy of doing it. Of course, Roman, he's just one of those guys where he's going over what I know Stephen Larson calls it X-Pac heat. That it's like, now it's gotten to the point where I don't know how he gets ticket sales or all his clothing, I guess, is supposed to be really high.
Yeah, it's apparently women and children.
Which is, it's weird because it's boring.
Yeah.
Everything is boring about him.
He's boring. He bores me. Unfortunately, he's real pretty. I'd sit on that face any goddamn day of the week. When fucking Braun Strowman choked him against the wall, I had a moment where I had to be like, oh shit, nope, I'm watching live, I can't pause it, oh my god. But, his stories and in the ring and, being the guy, I say this all the time, he is a guy I would invite over anytime at a Super Bowl party. Yeah, come bring the chips. He's a good guy, he's not gonna, do anything bad at the party, he's a guy. But that's not interesting for wrestling. And you on top of that, you already have everyone angry at him for getting pushed too hard. So he's really just being motivated right now by the women who think he's hot, and then like the kids who don't give a fuck about anything and are just like, he's big looking, which is what Vince is thinking about. Yeah. And who buys the most merch for anyone in all industries? It's women who are buying merch for themselves, for their kids, for their husbands. So it makes sense, but it's not helping anything to keep throwing him back in the main shit, and nobody wants it.
And the thing is did you watch or did you listen to Jericho's interview with him? Mm-mm. Keeping It Real Reigns, that's the Reigns I want. Uh-huh. I would highly recommend, if anybody has not, listened to it, you need to. Because the whole story about him growing up with the Usos and all that stuff, it was interesting. And the way that he was speaking about it and just talking about, he wasn't really saying much about being pushed, but he was kind of dancing around it a lot. Right. But the way that Jericho, and once again, Daddy Jericho is the one that has to kind of reel him in.
Come on, son.
Yeah, but like the way that he was talking and everything, I was like, I want that Reigns.
Yeah, so I saw a Reigns that I wanted during the Rusev kind of thing. He got a little more just like how he is on Up, Up, Down, Down whenever he's on there. Just kind of like snarky and arrogant, but also like funny and having a good time. And I was like, this guy is way more... There's so many more layers to this guy than the guy who stands there and looks very tough but a little sad that he's about to beat the shit out of the Undertaker. I want that guy. And then the whole thing with Rusev got mushed away because he's too big for Rusev, I guess. So.
That's weird. I don't know. For me, it's just like, everybody talks about it. I'm so over it. Just let him have his match with Brock, and then we're just all going to be like...
That's what Tamara keeps saying, too. She's like, Braun and Roman are both in the ring. They're doing fine. There's nothing wrong with these matches. But I'm just ready for it to be done. Like, move past it. And... I don't know when people have asked me who's Braun gonna face next. I don't know, but I do want to see more Braun. He's pretty interesting.
He's my senpai. I love him so much. And the downside about it is that they built him up to be this monster, and then him kind of being the coward monster, it doesn't fit him.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Fit him at all. And like the thing is too is that like I noticed when he kind of did the eye-to-eye with Brock, he makes Brock look tiny.
Yeah.
So it's like, for him to back down from that moment, it threw me way off. And I was like, the first thing he should have done is just push him.
Yes. I completely agree. They were like, we can't have Braun face Brock yet because Roman has to face Brock. Well, then you shouldn't even have done this. Because it just you made yourselves look stupid, in my opinion. Because why couldn't Brock beat this guy up? I haven't seen this guy, really wrestle in a long time because that Goldberg shenanigans wasn't like the best display of his prowess. So what am I supposed to be afraid of here? It's just, Braun is a coward now.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're gonna get a whole Brock year until Roman takes it off him in WrestleMania.
It's pretty hilarious that the Intercontinental title has had to become the main title now on Raw.
Well, all the secondary titles are starting to elevate because it's like, we got Boring Randy, which is like, snooze fest. Like, who's going to take the belt off of him?
Someone please hurry.
It's like, the only person I could really think of is Shinsuke.
Yeah.
Because since they're kind of building him up, first of all, I hate the whole, like, what do they call them? The artists?
Yeah, they were known. And Dolph Ziggler being like, he thinks he's Michael Jackson in that long, weird joke. I was just like, this is so painful to watch.
Dolph is a high-profile jobber to him. And the thing is that Backlash, if they're going to have a match, I don't want him to touch him. I don't want him to even look at him. I just want Shinsuke to come in, kick him once, and do the like Chris Jericho like pin, where he doesn't even pin him at all. He just puts his foot over him and he's just like, that's it.
Yeah.
And then he walks away. Done. Because I do not like it. I
I don't either. Everyone's like, oh, he has to. Dolph is always the one who introduced blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, then you shouldn't have made it this complicated.
Yeah.
It should have just been, I'm mad that you just showed up, and then you fight, and it's over, and we move the fuck on.
And it threw me off that they're kind of making Shinsuke talk more, too, because in NXT, he never really talked. And, like, the one thing that I was just like, was when, I think it was, like, the first or the second time they met up, he's like, who are you? And then Shinsuke goes and he goes, you don't know who I am? And it's just like...
I know. I cringed. No one else seems to feel this way, so I'm glad you feel this way. But I don't think he should be talking.
No.
And he's so good at nonverbal communication, too. Like, when, who was it leaving? Renee had to leave the ring because Dolph was being an asshole to her. And he puts his foot on the rope so that she can leave the... Like, he's so good at nonverbal cues. Yeah. The rolling of the eyes.
His face and, like, the way he, like, grabs his chin sometimes.
If you need this man to talk, get him a manager to talk for him.
No, he doesn't even need a manager.
Don't talk. I don't like him talking.
He doesn't need a manager at all. Like, I cannot see him with a manager talking for him, because just the way his face and the way he walks, and he doesn't need it. He doesn't need to speak. He doesn't need a manager. He just needs to go in and beat people up,
which we haven't gotten to see.
Not at all. And it's just, and then another guy that just throws me off is Ty, the Perfect 10.
Yeah. I think this is one that, I guess because I don't watch NXT and 205 Live or those as much as I should be, I was just kind of thrown off by the 10s originally. Like, I think at the Royal Rumble, everyone's yelling 10, and I was like...
Oh my god. It was just the best. It was the best because I kind of started watching it right when he was starting to get big. Mm-hmm. So I was all like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, and why is he why is he throwing
why
10s?
Is he the perfect 10?
You know, like, why is he doling out 10s all of a sudden? And I asked my friend, who's the one that got me back into it, and he's just like, he's just a perfect 10. That's all he said. All he said. And it made sense, because it's just like his quirkiness to it, and like the way he does it, and then like his little cue card that he pulls off, and it's just like, it was so good at the moment. But to me, I kind of felt that he should have stayed at NXT.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing anything to, like, nothing.
Right.
What is he doing? Like, beating up,
that guy with the bat.
Oh my god, what's his name?
No.
He's part of the Vaudevillains.
No. Oh, Aiden.
Aiden English.
There we go.
Yes.
I know people's names.
And it's just like... It's just,
I will say, Jericho made Aiden English relevant period for me with the little backstage thing. I was like, oh, Aiden English, he's so whack. And then Jericho was like, you know what happens when you cry? And I was like, never mind, look at Aiden English. Oh, don't cry, Aiden English. But we've gotten way off track talking about SmackDown and Raw instead of talking about NXT. So we talked about your favorite NXT wrestler, and this week we saw a #1 contender match, which we talked about a little bit with Asuka. And we talked about, we both didn't like that. Mm-mm. Not fans of how that turned out. There was, basically that was the lead up for, I think, is it TakeOver Chicago, I think, is where we're going to have that Fatal 4-Way?
Yeah, it was Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Itami returned, and for once seemed to have a passion and a drive and anger to him. Was there anything else in this week's show that really struck out to you?
No Aleister Black. Mm-hmm. And no, and no Drew McIntyre. Well, this week's episode was mostly more around Hideo Itami and Roderick Strong, because last week we had kind of like a behind the scenes story, almost like a story about Roderick Strong, and for some of the people that don't know about him, it was nice, because it's like he talked about his family and now he has a child and all this stuff. And it was nice, but for me, that I kind of knew a little bit about him, it's just like, okay, I understand that, because he used to, I think I remember he used to work heel for a while, so they're kind of turning him into a face. I don't know really why. I don't know if they're going to end up just giving him the belt with having to challenge Oh my God, I can't
the glorious
believe.
One.
Yes, the glorious one.
Yeah, Bobby Roode.
There we go. But it's just weird because next week we're gonna have the match for the number 1 contendership, and it's gonna be Hideo Itami and Roderick Strong. They're both faces, which to me is awesome because it's like, yes, finally something like there's not gonna be a heel, there's not gonna be a face to this. It's just gonna be
wrestling.
Who's gonna win? Yeah. Because now we're at the point where we kind of think about it. You know, whenever they would do like a number 1 type of thing, it's like it would always be a heel, it would always be a face, and then you just look at the person who has a belt, and then you say, okay, then that person's gonna win.
Right.
We don't know who's gonna win this one because like Hideo Itami, as much as he's really good and I don't really know much about him, he's going to 205 Live.
I hope so.
He's going to be one of those guys where it's like he's not even going to get the belt. He's probably going to try to get it, but then all of a sudden he's just going to be in 205 Live. Like it's just going to be boop, there he is, which is good and bad in the same way because it's like 205 Live is just, there's a good roster of people.
Yes. But
the situation that they have being right after SmackDown, and I went to the SmackDown in Anaheim over here like a month or 2 ago.
Right.
And I remember like once SmackDown was over, everybody was just like gunning it.
Bye. Yep.
And it was pretty good matches that we had, too.
Yeah. I've made this complaint at every live show. Whenever they have a cruiserweight match, people use that as their bathroom break.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding? And the crowd will be dead, and we'll be getting, like, the match of our lives, and there's no one home. And so one of those times, in fact, I think Neville went up to do the red arrow, and then got back down, because he's like, you don't deserve this. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, you tell those hoes!
And the thing is like, I felt like Neville was the one that carried it from the very beginning. Which is good because, like, evil Neville is awesome. Right. Like face Neville was very boring to me.
Yeah.
Even though he had, like, the really crazy, like, magic moves and he looked like he would just be flying in midair. But evil Neville has that, like, look to him.
He looks like a damn orc.
Yeah. And it's just amazing. It's one of those things where I would like to see Hideo Itami versus Neville.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
Yeah. 205 Live, I think, just suffers from the fact that they're not a part of any of the main storylines. Mm-hmm. And so people who don't know anything further than just Raw or SmackDown don't really think about it. And I think if there was more tie-ins with the main story or more of the smaller WWE people had like opportunities to come over and just have matches every once in a while, I think people could get more excited. But they also don't spend a lot of time on their own wrestlers. Like Lince Dorado, I still don't know shit about him.
You don't?
I've seen so many matches, you're like, oh yeah, he's the masked wrestler. Okay.
I think he got injured, so he was gone for a little bit, so he just barely, like...
And then Grand Metalik.
Oh, and Metalik, I think, was out, too, for a while, too. But the thing is with them is that for being a main roster, they got their shit together more than SmackDown and Raw. Because their storylines, like this week's storylines, were actually really good and really interesting. Because it's like, we finally ended up getting a heel TJ Perkins, which is now it's TJP.
It's so much better. I like TJP.
Yeah, and now like his dabbing and all that crap, it feels more evil. Like the way he looks at Daddy Neville every now and then. Like I know I think it was last week when he kind of looked at him like, I was doing this for you, Dad. And he's all beating people up and stuff. Yeah, I love it because it's like finally we don't have like robot TJ Perkins.
Right. And you know what else was interesting? When he confronted Neville, I think it was on Raw.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there watching it with Tamara, and Neville says something like, oh, well, you should care because, blah, blah, blah. And she and I were just like, wow, that made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like, it was so nice to have a totally logical reason for why he is listening to Neville and why he is doing this. I was just like kind of floored because this is wrestling and a lot of time we have bullshit like you stole my hat or you won't become a part of the Titus brand.
Yeah.
To get like, oh oh, that's really smart. I loved it. So I'm loving everything about heel TJP.
Yeah, and I love it too, especially
and his purple.
Yeah, and his dabbing is like the one thing.
Huh.
Oh God,
I'm evil.
But Corey Graves actually does it really good. Where when he had the match, Corey was like, "Oh, and he's not dabbing as much as I like this TJ Perkins because he's not dabbing." And then he does it,
right?
And then he's like, "No, this is why I don't like you."
Back to Corey for a moment. I do have to call this out because it made me laugh a lot. Twice during 205 Live, he referenced Tom Phillips's face fucking situation. And when I heard it, my jaw just dropped. And in fact, when he makes the other one, like, yeah, it's longer than a 4-hour flight, which is a reference to whatever Tom Phillips had said to the woman, you hear a pause where they turn their mics off, so Tom Phillips is probably sitting there.
And you could see the camera, like the camera was facing them, and you could see them both like giggling, and you could see Corey kind of like he's getting that, like, you know how when you have like your best friend, and you have that chemistry where it's like you're trying to make your friend laugh. Right. And then you look at them when you do it. Like, you look at them like, did I do good? Yes. Did I make you laugh?
And then when he turns the mic back on, he's still got the laughter in his voice as he does the next part. I love. Oh my God! I was like, real relationships. Just like, fuck, Corey.
I would do it.
Corey goes so hard. So Ali and Drew Gulak have been having this weird storyline.
I love it.
No fly zone.
I love Drew Gulak as the ambulance chaser lawyer, which is fantastic, and it just makes me laugh because he used to be almost a character you would forget in the beginning, and now that he has a little suit and ties and he no fly zone, and what's his little quote that he always does? I'm not lying, no flying, no high flying, like. I love everything about that whole thing, the whole little situation, and just him having those little like mini stories that could go beyond just one person. He can go up to, like, if he wants like a title shot, he could go up to Neville and start messing with him, which would be pretty good because it could bring that high flying that Neville is kind of restricting himself since he is a heel. But now that he would have to have like facing him, it would bring that to him to be like, okay, he doesn't want me to fly, but I'm gonna fly. Because they told me no, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting how much the differences between a WWE show and a live show of any other sort.
Oh yeah.
Because that no fly, where you said I'm not lying, no high flying, you could see the crowd wasn't really into it.
Yeah.
But like at a house show or at a local wrestling show, half the crowd just to play along would have been chanting it with him, and it just reminded me of how much 205 Live is to me a lot more like those kind of shows, like more like indie wrestling.
Yeah, for me, like if 205 Live was almost kind of like a PWG show. Like, can you imagine that all that, him with the sign, everybody would be just chanting that and just
or booing,
up
whichever,
everything, and it would just be amazing, and the reactions would be perfect. But no, it's like we got like some kid in the front row just.
Right. I know they can't do it. They probably set things up a certain way, the way they have, but I almost wish they could let it not be attached to SmackDown.
Yeah.
People are tired. They just watched a whole match. You're giving a show that a lot of people don't even know that they want. They do want it, they just don't know.
Yeah.
If this could be separate, like with NXT, I think the crowds would be a lot better, and I think the show itself would be a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, just pump in some fake noise, for God's sake.
I know, it's like Roman gets, like, yays out of his booze. It's like, why can't 205 do that?
Yeah.
Go ahead, dub it yays, over. It's not fair that. It's like, I guess they're spending all those yay buttons.
The yay budget is
cashing in the yays for Roman. And 205 Live cannot get that.
Can't afford
the
yays. Sense. It's true.
It's terrible.
I like Mustafa Ali, but I feel like he's a little plain Jane at the moment. Like, even his music, his outfit. Like, I feel like he's got so much skill. And then he only shows, like, every once in a while, he shows little glimpses of personality. I think it's just hard when you're a face, if you're not a natural face, to figure out how to still be interesting.
And he has heel face. Yeah. Like, he just looks like a stud. Like, mean. looking and stuff. And the thing is like...
That explains why I like him so much.
And the thing is, too, is that I think he did enter as a heel.
But then they were kind of like, oh, our two Middle Eastern looking people are heels.
So it's like they kind of just told him, hey, you're a face now. And he's at that point where it's just kind of... He's trying to figure things out.
Yes, I agree.
But Drew Gulak is like overpassing him. Way overpassing him. Which a lot of people were probably like, oh, I didn't even know he had it in him to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So it worked out fine for him.
It is always interesting when with 205 Live, because it's so new, every time we see a new matchup, we're almost seeing new sides of people in some ways, and it's really exciting. But at the same time, it also makes me sad because, you know, like, we had Rich Swann was our, like, main guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, he's doing so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then he had to go away for a little bit, and now he's back to being, like, nobody. But they did have him face Noam Dar this week.
Yeah. Which,
without Alicia Fox there to annoy us or confuse us or interfere. So it was a pretty good match. I was personally sad that he lost to Noam Dar, but I get it. How'd you feel about that match?
It was very, very sketchy in the beginning. You could tell these two guys have never... like, their style of wrestling... don't really mesh well.
Yeah, that's why I was confused about them even having.
Because even doing the, I think Schwann was trying to do the like a leg sweep, and Noam Dar just went, and he just fell on the ground, and it's just like, okay, like you could tell by them that it was a little sketchy at first, but once they got the flow going on, it started to pick up a little, and then since I think Noam Dar is more of a submission guy.
Yeah.
You know, it was a little rough because submission versus Rich Swann, which like he just loves to fly. Right. Like you cannot stop him. He's just in air all the time. He lands on his feet. I don't know how. Yeah. There have been times where it's just like you tell he's just like. You know but then he's fine.
You know what's funny? He's afraid of heights.
That's crazy to me.
I know! That's
crazy to me.
It's funny. I've talked to quite a few wrestlers who do things off the top rope who have admitted to me that they are afraid of heights. And so it's just so funny that with Rich Swann, like, he's taking joy. He really does look like a swan taking flight. But yeah, he's afraid.
I don't believe you. Because the way that he does things and, like, the air that he gets all the time is just... he's just like...
Yeah, I don't think he's just like, YOLO, gotta get the views. I love him a lot. I'm sad that he had to take that break for his injury and kind of lower down, but hopefully he's able to pick this back up. Because the show's so short, it's, you know, they're not able to feature everybody every week. And there are positives and negatives about that. But what my favorite part of that whole match was at the very end, Alicia came back.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't excited at all. I was like, no, don't do this story some more. I don't want to hear Fox anymore. But then Noam leaped into her arms.
Oh, my God. That was the best.
Only did she hold him up just fine, like the little man baby he is. She even gets on, like, one leg and does this. Just, like, she might as well have just bounced him a little bit.
I wanted her to just carry him all the way out.
I bet she could have.
Yeah. It was crazy how she was able to, like... I kind of want her to go for the title now.
So this is what I tell people all the time. Like, Alicia Fox is a lot better than she portrays herself to be. Yeah. She's a very solid worker in the ring, but she's got stupid-ass wig on, and she's pretending to be a cheerleader diva still, which doesn't... I don't think anyone knows how to react to it very well because no one else is playing the diva anymore.
Well, she got stuck in the middle of the whole, like, situation with the divas and then now the women's kind of wrestling or entertainers. But she's in that like, middle part, and that divas part is still trying to get her back to kind of reeling in there. But I have noticed that she is starting to more push out from that, and she's starting to be a better wrestler. Because I know in the beginning she was not good. The majority of times I would see her, she would try to like check her hair to see if like a chunk of it is on the ring.
Right.
You know.
But then like her match with, she came back and she had a match with, who was it now? Was it Nia Jax? No, it was somebody. It might have even been Bayley. It was a while ago. I can't remember. Sorry, everyone. Let me just tell you lies. But she more recently had come. She had come back from her injury, and she had a match, and it was just her being basically a jobber to the other person. But she looked great.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, why don't they ever let you wrestle more? And now finally, like, they had her in that the match on Raw. And I thought all the women looked really great in that match. Yeah. I really enjoyed that match. And they gave her a bunch of time in the ring. So it was pretty cool. Now I just wish she would just have a new gimmick. Like, if you're going to be crazy, then be crazy. Don't be like, I'm a Valley girl who goes crazy. Just be crazy.
I would love for her and Noam Dar to have, like, almost that when she wrestles, she starts to learn more about the submissions and have her be the, like, submission like girl,
like their relationship does something for the wrestling style,
and that would be interesting, because then you could have her be kind of like the Noam Dar of the women.
That is interesting,
you know. And that would be good, because there really isn't the majority of the women right now are just all either risk takers or just foo-foo women. And it's like we don't have like specialty ones, so it's like I would like to have. That's true.
If you were like Sarah, who did, like, almost all of them, I think, have submissions as their finisher right now, except for Bayley, who has a belly to belly suplex.
Belly to belly. It's strong. Sorry. It's very strong.
Watching Charlotte go through everything with Sasha and then seeing her pretend to be knocked out over a belly to belly suplex is I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant. It's just fucking bullshit. I'm glad she's not with Bayley anymore. Others are doing weird things with her over at SmackDown right now. Like you said, I think the shows need to settle.
Yeah.
But out of 205 Live and NXT, so my problem with watching NXT is it feels like I don't know anybody, I guess. So are there any matches you recommend, like, checking out to, like, get, for anyone also watching who wants to get into NXT, are there any, like, good people to watch or you know, to ease into it?
Right now, and I remember when I checked back, Steve from Steven Larson told me, he sent me a message. He's like, you do know that the old, like, I think it's like 2005 NXT, like the beginning ones, they were just re-released. So it's like you have almost this different universe of the main rosters just being little babies, and it's weird. It's so weird going back and, like, seeing Seth Rollins with
his little blonde,
and, like, him just being like, I'm just happy to be here, and it's just like, what the hell? Like, this is so weird. And it's weird to see Cesaro with, like, the balding hair, and, like, he just looks very, very, he doesn't even look as buff as he looks now. And it's just, I recommend a lot of people, if you do have the network, to look back at all those and just be like, wow.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Really weird to just see. It's almost like a comic book where they have, like, different stories, and then when you look back at them, you're like, wow, like,
this is where we came from to get here. Yeah. That is interesting.
I recommend going back to those. And I wasn't watching NXT at the time, but now looking back to it, I'm just like, oh, wow. Like, it's odd. It's really weird.
Well, that's why it's development, I guess. I know for me, I really enjoy watching Ember Moon work. So anytime she's in a match, I will go and watch. Though I have a harder time watching everybody else because I'm just like, I don't know you guys. So working on it, because I know a lot of people watching have asked me to talk more about NXT and 205 Live. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show and talking with me. Where can people find you?
I have my own Twitter that I've had forever, and I use, it's like the only thing I use. So it's NowThatsASandra at Twitter. But I also do stream on Twitch. It's also, you could always find me with NowThatsASandra. Nobody has a name, so it's like the one name that I always have. So it's like, you could always find me on Twitter. You could always find me on Twitch. I do a couple of YouTube kind of videos, but it's just mostly gaming videos type of thing. I don't have time to be, like, editing and all. Nobody got time for that.
I know. It's really annoying. I hate editing. It's why y'all don't get better videos from me. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Please follow Women Wrestling Friends on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram if you'd like, but I lost the password. If you know how to hack Instagram, please hit me up because I'd like to just get back to using that. You can find me at Sarah the Rebel everywhere, including Twitch as well, and Twitter and Instagram and all the places. And be sure to watch Ready to Ramble, my show with Iffy and Cameron on Hyper RPG. That's on Twitch live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Bye!